Hello and welcome to the solo traveler community at Photo Tripping America. Today's video is going to help you discern if the full-time travel lifestyle is right for you. Many of us have already decided to jump into this lifestyle with both feet, but I know there's plenty of you on the sidelines that still have plenty of questions and reservations about it. You might just think that jumping into the full-time lifestyle would be just like every Instagram account that you see, with your camper van backed up to beautiful beaches or in a forest, or maybe floating through a beautiful high mountain lake. But I've got to be honest with you, some days look a little more like this, with repairs, maintenance issues, and sometimes just out and outright breakdowns. Yes, there are bad days in RV ownership, just like there are in home ownership. But I thought you'd need all the facts before you make your decision about pursuing the RV full-time lifestyle. So let's take a look at that checklist I gave you to fill out. You got to this video through the website and the Full-Time Traveler Blueprint, and you're in the first training module entitled, Is Full-Time Travel Right for You? The first step in this training module was a questionnaire that you're going to fill out. Hopefully you've done that. With immediate responses, there are no right or wrong answers, but let's take a look at your answers now. And let's see if I can show you the pros and cons of each. The first one is, do you enjoy driving? Now, I will be honest here. You can do a lot of driving if you wish, RVing. You can also do very little driving. It just depends on how fast or slow you want to travel. I, for instance, like to travel for 2 weeks at a time, sometimes months at a time in one place, because you get better rates at campgrounds and for a variety of reasons. The second question on our questionnaire is, do you like meeting new people? Now, granted, I'm kind of an introvert, but it's nice to see people on the road, and you don't necessarily have to meet a lot of people at a campground. You may choose to boondock out in the national forest or on BLM land, where you won't come across another human being for days. So that's up to you as well, based on where you like to travel. Question number 3. Do you think waking up in a new place each day or week or year sounds like fun? For some of you, that change might not be pleasant, so you may decide that this isn't the lifestyle for you. But keep in mind, you can also choose how often you see that change. If you want to live in a certain place for 6 months, you can in an RV. If you enjoy the stimulation of seeing new places on a daily or weekly basis, you can also choose to do that with travel. Question number 4. Do you find yourself frequently wishing you could escape the everyday rat race? This was a big one for me. Even though I lived in a small mountain town and didn't have the traffic and the uproar of city life, I still wanted control over my own time. So I figured out a way to be able to travel and still make a living while I was on the road. So if that's you, we do have a later module in the Full-Time Traveler Blueprint that will show you how to make a living while you're on the road. The next question is, if you're planning on solo travel, can you handle a lot of alone time? Now, I'll be honest, there is a lot of alone time if you allow it. If you're more of a people person, you can create community around wherever you land in your RV by joining local hiking groups, gardening clubs, visiting churches, all kinds of different ways. We'll show you different ways to build community as well as stay in touch with your friends back home in a later module. The next question. Are you okay with leaving friends and family even if you can stay in touch with them? That question's just been answered. Can you part with many of your current belongings and maybe even your house? That actually was freeing for me, to be honest. I'm no longer responsible for a lot of belongings. What I own travels with me in my RV and car. And that's important to me. I like the freedom of that. But if you have items you want to keep, especially family heirlooms and memories, there are different ways that you can take care of that and hold on to that while you travel. We'll talk about those in a later module as well. The next question, do you consider yourself pretty self-sufficient? I always felt like I was pretty self-sufficient, but I have found, as in the next question, that asking for help sometimes is very beneficial. So I've had to learn to drop my pride and sometimes ask for someone else, a second set of hands, a second set of eyes, whatever, to help me with certain things. But for the most part, it's very easy to travel alone. The next question, do you like finding new activities in which to participate? One of the best things about traveling across the country is getting to know new people, participate in different cultural events, and just experiencing the areas that you visit. Our next question is, do you enjoy being the decision maker? Now, chances are if you're a solo traveler, you're already making all the decisions in your household. But if you're traveling with another partner, you may have to share responsibilities, just like any household. Are you worried about how you'll make a living while traveling? As I said before, we have an entire training module with 19 different types of jobs and full training for those jobs in a later training module here at Solo Traveler Community. Are there people at home who need your help on a daily basis? Do you have someone who depends on you each day or maybe each week? Are you part of a board of directors? Do you have an infirm relative that expects you to stop by or bring them food? Are you taking care of medical problems for a loved one? There are a lot of different things to think about before you decide if you're going to hit the open road. There are many ways to be able to hit the road and still be able to meet the needs of your friends and family. For instance, can you enlist someone else to bring meals to that relative? Can you hire medical assistance for that relative that needs your help? And maybe you can even remain on that board of directors by attending their meetings via conference calls or Skype calls. There's always something to think about, but if there's a will, there's usually a way to get it done. Are you willing to learn new things? Trust me, you'll learn a lot of new things while you're RVing. Most of them are pretty easy, and most of them are actually enjoyable. But if you've never been RVing, you'll learn things like how to balance your AC versus DC electricity. You'll learn how to dump the black tank, and trust me, it's not as dirty or icky as you think. But if you don't like learning new things, then RVing may not be for you. Do you fret about driving an RV or towing a trailer? I did, and I still do to some extent. But to be honest, the more often I do it, the more comfortable I become with it. I have a 29-foot RV, and I pull a 16-foot trailer with my car on it. So if I can do it, just about anybody can, believe me. And we have training for that as well. Do you worry about the safety of traveling alone? I have an entire module in the Full-Time Traveler Blueprint regarding safety, especially for solos, but for anybody traveling in an RV. And we'll go through that specifically, but I can honestly say in the 2+ years that I've been on the road, I've had absolutely no problems as a solo traveler. Now, 20 years ago, I lived in a tent and I traveled the country for a year. I only had one kind of iffy, questionable experience, and I trusted my gut and just turned around and left. But if you're worried, we'll give you all kinds of tactics to utilize in the Safety for Solos training module. Our next question, do you think you'll need to have a large savings account before you can travel? Well, I'm living proof that small savings accounts work as well as large ones. I make a living as I travel. Some people choose to travel freely without having to work along the way. That is totally up to your discretion, but I am here to tell you that if you don't have a large savings account, it can be done. And we will show you in several training modules different ways to save money while you're RVing and different ways to make money while you're RVing. Next question, do you like a challenge every once in a while? Well, of course. Are you comfortable with a strict daily routine? Sometimes RVing can be strict daily routines, but most of the time it's not. Unless you're sitting in the same place for quite a while, you can make it your daily routine to do the same things over and over. And if you're more comfortable with that, that's fine. If you would like a change more frequently, lots of times that happens with more frequent travel. So that's up to you. Do you already have a list of people you'll visit when you hit the road? Are you looking forward to visiting grandchildren? Or maybe seeing some of the national parks you've never seen before? What about eating at that special restaurant that someone told you about in Los Angeles? There's so many different things and people to see. I keep track of them personally on a Google map, and I'll teach you how to do that within the community as well. Are you looking for a way to save money by RVing? As I mentioned earlier, you can definitely do that, but you can also definitely spend a lot more money than you would living in a sticks and bricks house. It all depends on your lifestyle. If you prefer staying in resort RV communities, you're going to spend a high premium dollar to do that. If you would prefer staying in state parks or national parks even, you can save quite a bit of money, and you can also save a ton of money by boondocking. If I choose to pay for a campsite, I normally average about $150 a month in living expenses for campground fees. If I choose to work camp someplace, I actually get a campsite for free. Now I have to work about 20 hours a week to do that, but that's opened up a whole new world of experiences to me. I've worked in Alaska, and right now I'm working near the beach in Santa Barbara, California. Sure can't beat that. Do you think that full-time travel is a novel idea that will get old quickly? If that's the case, you might want to just camp sporadically rather than jumping in with both feet. The next question, do you see travel as a way to experience new vistas and cultures? In that case, you might want to jump in with both of those feet. Are you happy with your life as it is right now? That was a big question for me, and it was a game changer when I sat down and thought about where my life was at that exact moment and what I wanted it to be in the future. That's what tipped the scales for me towards full-time travel, and only you can decide that for yourself. Can you envision yourself living in a small space for a long period of time? Keep in mind that you are in an RV. Yes, it's a very small space, comparatively speaking, but you also have your front yard and backyard, which are the outdoors, and they can change whenever that you want to. So keep that in mind in your considerations. Does having the outdoors at your doorstep bother you? Some people would rather be in a city motif. You can do that in RVing, but it's rather difficult. You'll need a stealth van probably to get it done in some of the larger cities. The next question, can you withstand family scrutiny if they think your idea of full-time travel is crazy? More times than not, I've heard of people whose families have totally disagreed with their thought process on jumping into the full-time travel lifestyle. They're worried that they're going to lose you. They're worried that you're not going to stay in touch. They have lots of fears, and most of those fears revolve around themselves. The more that you can do to allay their fears and let them know that you're not going to lose touch with them, that this will brighten your life and enlarge it, and therefore it'll enlarge their lives as well. That can help you calm them and win them over to your side. And finally, the last question I want you to think about. Do you worry that you won't have any place to go back home to? For instance, if you do decide to sell your home and get rid of most of your belongings, are you worried that if you get on the road and discover it's not the lifestyle for you, that you'll have no place to call home? There are many options in lieu of selling your home. For instance, you could rent it long-term to a local, or possibly rent it nightly and make quite a good income on Airbnb or VRBO. But it is something you'll have to discuss and consider. Once you have weighed all of your options, you will have to decide if you want to follow the full-time travel lifestyle. There are many, many benefits and freedoms associated with crisscrossing the country in an RV. But I won't lie to you. There are also some downsides, just like everything else in life. And I want you to have all of the facts. One fact is that we'll have your back here in the solo traveler community. You have the resources, trainings, and support of an entire group of travelers at your fingertips. If you choose to jump into full-time travel, even if it's for a short period of time, work your way through the full-time traveler blueprint here in the community. It will give you a great foundation for a fabulous journey.